You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, well, it's Friday night. That means it's time for Robinson and Wright. We're usually about 25 minutes earlier than this, but thanks to technical issues, Thank you again, Skype. I don't know what it is with them lately. It's like every week it forces an update, and then it takes forever to figure out that it's supposed to actually work after they supposedly fix whatever they broke. So, yeah. If someone could please invent a software that allows us to do what Skype does without making us update it every other week, that would be great. Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. Have my voice back now. Dealing with bronchitis and a sinus infection.
You forgot the ear infection.
Yeah, I got. I think we caught the ear infections pretty quick. He said they weren't terrible, but he did say that I'm just full of infection. That's what the doctor told me.
So I'm starting to wonder if the crud can be transmitted via Skype, because that is exactly what I was diagnosed with about a month and a half ago. Finding it off.
Maybe. You know, I know people on Twitter were calling it the Twitter crud because everybody that were friends on Twitter were all getting it. So maybe it's viruses are now transmitted electronically.
Viruses have mutated into cyberspace and we're all going to die.
Yeah, that's it. We're doomed.
Uh-oh.
It's the Russians.
Somebody's going to accuse me of making up fake news with that. There's going to be like, oh my God, have you listened to this guy? He spews fake news everywhere. No, actually, I spew crud everywhere. But that's a story. All right, so anyway. So, yeah, back to this Russians thing. Because, you know, this has been bugging me for a while. And I'm not excusing anything. And I'm not trying to say that... Because, again, you know, I still want to know why Flynn found it necessary to lie. Especially if there was supposedly nothing going on, nothing to see here, move along. Why did he feel the need to lie? But I have a question. Which one of these two scenarios is worse? We have a newly elected president who is still figuring out who his cabinet choices are going to be. We have a retired general speaking to a Russian ambassador who may or may not have, in passing, possibly mentioned something about sanctions. We still haven't been able to prove that conversation actually existed. And the FBI has already cleared the man of the fact that there was no wrongdoing, and they can't even verify what exactly was said in these supposed exchanges that we had this smoking gun moment for. Or in 2012, we had a sitting president during an election tell a Russian counterpart to, you know, just chill out a second. As soon as I win this election, we're going to get a lot more flexibility. This was on audio and video. Which one of these two things is worse than the other?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, not to mention the fact that we had Susan Rice running around telling everybody that Benghazi was all about a YouTube video. We had Hillary Clinton perpetuating the lie that it was all about a YouTube video. But, you know, yeah, I mean, look, again, I'm not excusing anything because, like I said, I don't understand why Flynn lied. That bothered me from the beginning because somebody that supposedly had the character and the intestinal fortitude of somebody that made it to the rank of lieutenant general should have been able to stand proudly and say, this is why I did what I did, and you can feel free to do whatever it is that you choose. Not, no, Dad, that's not my hand in the cookie jar. I don't know. Well, what are you talking? What? Chocolate chip cookie behind my back? What? No. There's no, what? No, that didn't happen. But instead, we get, well, what did Trump know and when did Trump know it? Over this? Seriously? I mean, come on. What happened to what? I mean, I don't get it. It's like everybody's traded places because the right was the one having a fit when Obama did anything that was slightly sideways, and most of the time with good reason. And now the right is like, yeah, it's our guy. Who cares? And the left is like, oh my God, grab the pitchforks and torches. Almost literally, especially today, because in case you missed it. Our former Attorney General has actually now been appointed the director of the EPA. The left is basically declaring a witch hunt at this point to go after Scott Pruitt. Quite literally. Yeah, and I'm sorry about the pause a few minutes ago. I actually had to hit the cough button. See, that's what we call it now, folks. It's no longer a mute button. It's the cough button. Because if you don't hear it, it's because we're trying not to cough on the air. Like right now. I just the whole
this whole thing. There was nothing wrong with what Flynn did. There was nothing wrong with it. What people need to understand is that scrambling and backpedaling and lying to the FBI about it, that's what's wrong with it. And if we're all going to sit back and excuse it, then we've blown our whole argument over Hillary lying to the FBI out of the water. That's and I know I've missed a little bit in here about what you said, but that's my take on the whole Flynn thing. I'm looking at both sides, and both sides are doing the exact same thing. The Republicans and the Democrats, they're all doing the exact same thing. They're excusing people. I mean, to be honest with you, Trump didn't excuse it. Flynn's gone. He may have said, oh, it's because of this or because of that, but Flynn's gone. He's gone. The problem is gone. And, you know, I even said something the other day and I got a lot of crap for it. I said, well, Hillary lied to the FBI too. Actually, I said it today. And I got crap for it. Well, you can't excuse this by saying, no, I'm not excusing anything. Flynn is gone. And people are talking about Hillary running again in 2020.
Will she be reprising her role as Crypt Keeper first? Because by then, that's going to be what she's going to look like for real. Have you, speaking of Crypt Keeper, have you seen Bill lately?
No.
I saw a picture of him today because it was, you know, there was a hashtag trending last night, presidential movie or presidential TV shows, and somebody put up like the worst picture of Bill Clinton I've ever seen, and did it with that hashtag, and then they put The Walking Dead, and he literally just about looked like something from The Walking Dead. It was kind of creepy. I really think the guy's being eaten from the inside out.
I mean, even worse than he was like 2 months ago.
Well, it may have actually been a picture from 2 months ago, but I don't think I had noticed just how wretched he was starting to look.
He looks. I mean, a couple months ago, he looked. I mean, when he was out there shilling for Hillary, I was like, you know, and I hadn't really paid attention to him in a while. I was like, wow, he looks really bad.
Yeah.
And even from that point until just a couple months ago, it got worse. I mean, I think he's either under some serious stress or he's really sick.
You say shilling for Hillary, I say trolling for interns, tomato.
Yeah, that's trolling for interns. That's pretty good. I think maybe at this point, his last hope is gone, and he's just withering away.
Yeah, well, couldn't happen to a nicer philanderer. I'm just so, yeah, just like I said, lots of interesting things in the news. And I know this is going to be a terrible thing for a person to say that actually makes somewhat of his living from commenting on things that are happening in the news. But is anybody else just like turning Trump off when he's on the TV now?
I've listened to bits and pieces of his little impromptu press conference. I can't listen to the whole thing, and it's not really saying anything because I was the same way with Obama. I could only take him in bits and pieces. I listening to a whole speech just drove me nuts, and I know how I understand, and sometimes I actually smile a little bit about his whole reaction to the press and everything else, but he has to start a little bit. I mean, a little bit at least. Take some questions. Stop saying fake news constantly. I mean, it's 4 years of this is going to be intolerable for everybody. If maybe he puts out a little bit of an olive branch, maybe the press will be a little bit easier on him.
Dude, I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, at this point, what I really want to see happen is for someone to take his crackberry away. Just remove the man from Twitter. He has people that can run those accounts now. Let him focus on running the country. Because, I mean, look, like what he's done so far, don't like what he's done so far. There's not very much meat here. And again, I'm not trying to pick him apart too badly because it's only been a few weeks. But let's not forget, he had talked about wanting to basically be done with Obamacare by day one. That didn't happen. Now you can blame the Congress for that, and that's that's honestly one of the groups I'm the most unhappy with, because we've had Republican congressmen and senators now telling us for 8 years, give us everything back and we'll have this gone. You've had 8 years to plan for it, 8 years to get ready for it, 8 years to prepare. You've told us ad nauseum how you were going to make it better when you had the chance, and yet you don't have anything planned out to try to actually accomplish that now that we've given you everything you said you needed to accomplish this. You want to know what got you know what got Trump in the White House? Everybody was really finally starting to see just how bad Obamacare is. Now, I know he's done a couple of little things that will stave off the bleeding for right now, but it's still here, and we're still going to be dealing with it, and I don't want to hear, well, it may be 2018, maybe 2019, or maybe we'll just make it better and leave what's here and just figure out a way to fix the rest of it. That's not what I want to hear. That's not why we gave the Republicans the majority in Congress and then eventually gave them the White House. That's not
no,
it.
and the one guy who has actually really put together a plan is Rand Paul, who is the guy that Trump threw under the bus during the primaries and tried to get people to dump him. He's the one guy with a plan. He has a plan. And nobody's listening. Nobody's listening.
Well, you know, it's interesting because now you see all of these people from the left that are talking about all the things that the left could accomplish if people were would vote them back in, etc. And it's become the exact mirror image of what a lot of us on the right have been saying for the last 8 years. But the thing about it is, and the thing nobody seems to get, is nobody that's actually in that position, save a handful, actually want these things fixed. Because let's be real for just a moment. If these people that we sent to Washington actually did their jobs and fixed what was broken, we wouldn't need them anymore. So why would they put themselves out of business? It's no different than, I mean, it's the same logic of of expecting them to not vote themselves a pay raise every chance they get, to not keep continuing to vote the income tax in every session, to vote in term limits. They're not going to do those things because it's detrimental to what most of them view as an eternal gravy train. That's some of the things that we need to fix. Because look, I'll tell you right now how we could actually, we don't even need to repeal or replace Obamacare. You want to get Obamacare fixed by next Tuesday? Make every congressman and senator sign themselves and their family up for it. I guarantee you whatever's broken would be fixed by next Tuesday. And Monday's a holiday. So let's not forget that part either. We're talking, today's what, Friday, about 11:40 Eastern. I'm telling you, if President Trump signed an executive order that put every congressman, every senator, and all their families on Obamacare, whatever was broken with it would be fixed by Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., and Monday is a federal holiday.
Yeah, I just, it doesn't matter. I mean, Trump is the president now. And this is something that I've been saying for a long, long time, that it really doesn't matter who you plug in there. He's going to sit down. I liked some of the things he says, and, boom, another executive order yesterday for the coal miners. And I mean, how many executive orders now? But when it comes right down to it, it's still Republicans and Democrats and Republicans and Republicrats. It's still the Washington country club bureaucracy. They're going to yell and scream at each other, and they're all going to go out and get a beer with each other when the day's over. Nothing is really changing. I mean, the executive orders are just executive orders. You see what's happening when the Democrats don't agree with one. There's just going to be a lawsuit. The Democrats aren't letting his cabinet members pass through. Some of them are resigning now. I mean, it's just a quagmire. The whole thing is just a quagmire. I'm starting to lose confidence that anything's really going to get done. There's still military funding problems. Honestly, I was really hoping that more than even Obamacare, that he would jump in on that, but he hasn't. When are we going to get a military spending bill signed? We haven't had one for 8 years. When is that going to happen? When is that going to get pushed? This is the kind of stuff that I was hoping for. And I'm not going to say he's not doing some of the things he said he was going to do. He is. But he really needs to get the country moving back in the direction it should be moving. And I think some of the executive orders he's signing are just to thumb his nose at certain people.
No, I mean, let's face it. Part of this right now is, it's a different flavor of it. But what we're seeing now, especially with Trump and the press, is kind of. Do you remember when Obama basically thumbed his nose at the Republicans in the closed door session?
Yeah.
Trump is doing this to the press in front of the press. Now, I'm not going to give Trump all of the blame for it because, let's face it, the press has actually done a lot to tarnish their own reputation because they stopped worrying about being factual first and they started worrying about being first. Now, I heard something today, and unfortunately, because of circumstances beyond my control and technical issues, I wasn't ever able to find a source for it. But I heard a story today about the AP running a story that was actually part of a discarded memo from a staffer that was never even considered, and yet they still put the story out anyway. Now, if that's true, then I'm sorry, but if we're going to start calling fake news, this is the AP, for God's sake.
Right. You would think the AP is going to not only fact check, but be unbiased. But I don't, I sit here and listen to both sides. If you go on and you look at social media, you've got Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and all these people on the left calling fake news. You got Donald Trump and everybody else on the right all calling fake news. Well, everything's fake news now. There's nothing true. So if there's nothing true, what do we believe? Apparently, there is no true news anymore. Everything is fake. The left calls everything fake news. The right calls everything fake news. So everything is fake news. And nobody's right. Nothing is true. And I don't know. Where's the wizard? We need the wizard. That's where we're at.
Pay no attention to that man behind
Exactly.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself when you said the Wizard.
That was fantastic. Good timing.
So, speaking of the Wizard, not to go off politics for a second, but have you been watching the miniseries The Wizard of Oz on NBC?
No, I have not.
Because I actually have been, and I have to say I was not sure about it at first. It has D'Onofrio in it, who I absolutely love in pretty much everything that he does. He's one of those actors that, because like you'll see somebody that you've seen in other movies, and they're playing a new type of character, and you're like, oh, he's just playing this character, but with a deeper voice. D'Onofrio is one of those guys that is like, it's like watching somebody that completely transforms themselves. I mean, he's played characters from like a cop on SVU. He's been Kingpin and Daredevil, and now he's playing the Wizard of Oz. And I swear, each character is so completely different. I almost didn't even recognize him at first. It's a lot darker, but that doesn't surprise me. But it's actually been kind of entertaining. So if you have access to on demand or anything like that, and you have time, because Lord knows you and I won't really have much of that, you might want to at least give it a shot. There's only about 2 episodes left now at this point. But anyway, just that kind of reminded me.
To be honest with you,
yep.
I didn't even know about it. And you also missed D'Onofrio's best role.
Which one?
Come on now, think about it.
Well, no, I'm giving you the chance to tell me and everybody else what it is, because I'm honestly not sure at this point. So I've probably forgotten something.
Oh, really? Come on, Rick.
Would you stop chastising me on air and just put me out of my misery?
I'll give you a hint. It had to do with the Vietnam War.
I honestly don't know.
Really?
Maybe I haven't seen the movie.
You've seen the movie. Come on.
Okay, look.
I'm serious. Come on.
I have no
idea. I know I'm loopy, but come on.
I have no idea. If I knew, I would have already said, but I'm drawing a blank right now, so... We're either going to have about 30 minutes of dead air, or you can finally tell somebody what the hell you're talking about, because I'm not sure.
Okay, hold on, because now I got to hit the cough button.
All right. So now that... you know what? Why don't we just take the first break and get it out of the way? We're almost to the first half-hour break anyway. We're going to go ahead and take a break real quick, and when we come back, maybe I can finally get Dan to tell us what freaking movie he's talking about, because I have no clue, and he's being ornery. We'll be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, so that sound you hear is my man card being turned in, because I was duly reminded on the break the movie that I'd forgotten that D'Onofrio was in. I'm not sure how, considering he played the crazy psycho dude in Full Metal Jacket, and somehow I completely forgot. But anyway, so
and I pushed Rick. I apologize to Rick. I pushed him because I really thought he would grab it, and he didn't. And I'm on serious meds.
Oh, so that's the excuse? You're on meds?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I don't buy it.
But yes, D'Onofrio was in Full Metal Jacket, and what a fantastic role. That was his breakthrough right there.
The funny thing is, as soon as you said Full Metal Jacket, I pictured him sitting in the stall with the shaved head, and I was like, oh, damn. I really did forget one of his best roles.
One of the most insane scenes in any movie in history.
See, I don't know, and maybe it's just me, but the role that always kind of stood out to me in that wasn't really him. It was Ermey.
Yeah,
I mean, when people start talking about Full Metal Jacket, that's what I remember, because I remember watching that, and then as I got older, I went back and started reading the story on it and realized that he wasn't even actually an actor at that point. He legitimately was I think he might have even still been active or about to be discharged military, but he was an actual drill sergeant, and they had brought him in as a consultant, and he spent 20 minutes watching the dude that they had playing the drill sergeant, and he's like, F this, man, I can do this better. Just watch. And they hired him,
he created himself a career.
I mean, dude, he's been all over the place since then. That's the stuff that, for those of us that do this type of work, and we do everything we can to try to find a way to make what started as a passion into something or anything that makes us even pennies that we can rub together. Those are the type of Cinderella stories that we're all praying for when we start stuff like this, because You know, in a million years, he never thought, hey, I'm going to take this gig as a consultant thing, and then I'm going to be a Hollywood star for the rest of my life, and F you guys, because I'm out. That did not have that was not a thought that occurred to him.
And he's actually even played like weird psycho bad guys in movies, and he's gotten his own TV shows on the History Channel and everything else. He's done he parlayed that into an amazing career.
He actually played the crazy sheriff in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes.
Yep.
Which was actually the only reason I wanted to go see the movie. I was like, "Holy crap, Arlie's in it. I gotta go see it."
And he was great in it.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic psychopath, crazy sheriff.
I mean, to me, that was another weird thing about that particular movie, because I was talking to my friends about it when it was over, because it was back when I was running the security agency was when that came out, and a bunch of us that were kind of higher up in the company, we put a bunch of rookies out on our post that night, and we actually just went to the movies and hung out for a while. And I was talking about it when the movie was over. I was like, you know what? It was a good movie, and the guy with the chainsaw was good when needed, but I think to me the standout role was Ermey, and everybody was looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, what can I say? I've liked him since I was a kid.
Yeah, no, you were correct. He was the highlight of that movie. But enough about movie talk, I guess, huh?
Hey, what can I say? We got distracted. It's your fault for mentioning the wizard, and then I played the clip, and then it was all downhill from there. All right, so anyway, I guess we should probably get back to politics. Honestly, I'm kind of burned out on them a little bit, because so just hang with me for a second, because I got to get something off my chest. We talked about this a little bit last week. I'm going to talk about it again. I am about at the point where I'm just going to delete my Twitter account. After all of the months and weeks and years and sweat I have put into that thing trying to build it up, I'm ready to nuke it. Because I have met all of these great, wonderful people, like-minded people who were helping everyone else push the boulder up the hill to get to the point where we had a government that was going to be doing the things that we wanted to get done and needed to get done. And then 2016 happened and it all went to hell. And now 2017 is barely a little over 2 months old, and it's still going to hell. I have people that I consider friends that are at each other's throats on Twitter. And I'm not equipped for this.
No, and I mean, you know where I'm at. I mean, I built my account up like you did, and then it got suspended, and then I built another one up, and then it got suspended. And this evening, I deleted my account.
Yeah, well, I kept telling you to quit messing with the trolls.
They mess with me.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
They come after me, I block them. They come after me, I block them. It's. I mean, and then tonight was just, like you said, just a timeline on Twitter full of people fighting with each other. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick. I don't feel like dealing with this. I'm not saying I won't come back. I have 30 days. Once you delete, you have 30 days. But for now, I'm just deleting. I don't need this in my life.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, because I don't honestly, I understand on some level how we got where we are. But what I don't understand, and this is, I mean, Twitter is kind of a microcosm of exactly what's going on in the country. And I don't understand this. Because now we have people that are so angry over politics that they won't even listen to a rational argument about someone. Because those of us that are still trying to call things down the center, they're like, hey, Trump was not my choice, but over here I think he did a pretty good thing. Over here, not so much. We get lambasted. I mean, like the other day when I was actually posting that I was happy about the fact that Scott Pruitt was going to be the EPA director, I was getting hit from all sides. because all of a sudden I'm a Nazi because I agree with Trump's pick for EPA director, or I'm against the environment because I agree with Trump's pick for the EPA director. Let me tell you something. After living in a state that I have watched Scott Pruitt be the Attorney General for the last several years, let me tell you what I hope that I will see as Scott Pruitt as the director of the EPA. And it's what a lot of us have hoped for, is not this knee-jerk reaction, lead with the feels kind of thing. We want somebody that will actually uphold the law. The laws that Congress passes, and then when they come to them, they say, okay, this is what you want me to do. This is what I'm going to do. Not the, okay, well, this is what you want me to do, but I think we should do this, and this to go with it. Because let's face it, one of the biggest problems with the EPA is it has become one of these behemoths that has to find a way to continue to justify its existence and then does nothing but continue to overreach and exceed its authority on a daily basis. This is the one thing that I think Scott Pruitt will do really well, is reining the EPA back into its original mandate. No one who is a conservative wants dirty air. No one who is a conservative wants dirty water. And the fact that we have all of these tree-hugging hippie, namby-pamby little jackwagons on the other side that are trying to say that, and then they have the gall to go protest about a pipeline in Dakota and leave trash everywhere so bad that it's taking like 40 million, not really, but hundreds of people to clean it up, to the point where they're afraid that they've left so much behind that it's going to pollute the same waterway that these people were trying to protect. And yet we're the ones that don't care about the environment. When is the last time you saw a conservative group go anywhere as a whole to protest, to gather, whatever you want to call it, and they didn't leave the area cleaner than when they found it?
Yeah, no, you're right. And look at just every protest that happens. You look at it afterwards, and the city that the protest happened in has to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on cleanup to clean up the trash that the environmentalists left behind. It boggles my mind. It really does. I mean, it's so counterproductive to their own message. I mean, in this country, you just pull into a parking lot. I work sort of in the construction industry. A new building that was just put up here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you go in, and the first 60, 70, 80 parking spaces are reserved for low emission, low consumption vehicles. You know, this country does more to quote unquote help the environment than any other country in the world. And yet we are self-shamed into doing more. When are the environmentalists going to stand up and go, we need to figure out how to make the rest of the world, especially countries like China, do more? To be honest with you, I could care less. I mean, you know, they complain about the exhaust spewing diesel trucks. You know what? Diesel exhaust is much less harmful, quote unquote, to the environment than a gas burning vehicle is. It's much more natural. It's everything they look at everything on the surface, and they don't go deep. We get punished by our own, yet we are paying to be, per capita, the cleanest country on earth, for the most part. Us in Canada, Canada has the same kind of rules. Most of the rest of the world could care less. But we get punished constantly. And we get punished by the EPA. By the EPA, who, I've said it before on this show, I did work in their beautiful Taj Mahal in D.C., which is exactly what they have in the Ronald Reagan building. 2 towers in the Ronald Reagan building. One of them is the EPA, and it's gorgeous. It's nicer than most corporate office buildings. Why does the EPA need that?
I don't know. What saddens me even worse is it's in the Ronald Reagan building.
Yes.
There's just something.
The Ronald Reagan building is EPA and customs.
I don't know. To me, there's just something apparently wrong with that. I mean, I don't understand where, because I mean, it's no different than, the protest we made fun of in D.C. right after Trump was elected, when, never mind the truth of the fact that these permits were already purchased, that it was supposed to be this grand celebration of womanhood because Hillary Clinton was going to be president. And then they're like, oh crap, we've already spent all this money, we've already promoted this, we've already bought the permits or got the permits, now what do? Let's turn it into a protest. And then they throw trash everywhere. And then, the little fact checker sites come out and say, no, this picture that's being widely passed around the internet, this is because it was a protest. They actually left the signs and all the other trash in front of Donald Trump's building. And we should give a crap why? They still left trash everywhere. I mean, and again, back to this, that and the Dakota thing. And then I want to take you back to when the Tea Party movement was actually doing a meeting on the square that everybody was calling a protest, when really the Tea Partiers called it a rally. We weren't protesting anything. We were trying to get people motivated. And then they showed all the pictures of everybody there, and then of course they tried to find pictures to frame it to where it looked like the crowd was smaller. And then the news stories started coming out about how many people were really there. And then everybody thought they were going to have gotcha moments because they went back in with the cameras after everybody was gone. And they're like, holy crap, it's clean. I mean, look, you can talk about how much you want to care about the environment and tell us how much we need to be the ones to take care of it. But when you compare a leftist rally versus a leftist rally versus a conservative rally, and time after time the conservatives police their own trash and usually leave the area that they were gathering in better than when they found it, and the side that's supposed to care the most about the environment doesn't, then I'm sorry, you're losing your argument. Because
no, you're absolutely correct. When I was up in D.C., I went to a couple of quote-unquote right-wing or Tea Party rallies on the mall. And when it was over, all they had to do was come in and take down the stage, basically. Everything else was clean. If the trash bags were full, at least the trash was by the trash can. It wasn't left all over the mall. It's the whole mindset is it's okay. The government will take care of it. That's the mindset. The government will take care of it. Why not? It's free. The trash pickup is free. I'll just leave the trash here. It's free. I don't have to pay for it. You do have to pay for it. You do. You are paying for it with your taxes. Or if you don't live in that city, the people in that city are paying for it with their taxes. Nothing is free. Nothing in this country is free. It's not. It costs somebody something.
But that's exactly my point. And the thing that nobody really talks or thinks about when we talk about these protests, a lot of these people don't live in the area where they come to protest. So we're talking about people descending on an area to give you a better idea of what it actually seems like by the time it's all over with. Think of it like a plague of locusts. You have people that fly in from everywhere. They're gathering in a certain place. They're tearing everything up. They're leaving trash behind, and then they leave. And they leave the folks that actually live in the city to deal with the mess. And then it's the people that actually live in the city whose tax dollars are having to clean up the mess because these people didn't want to clean it up themselves. Just like with the Occupy Wall Street movement, when they were like going, and even the Dakota thing, there were people that were trespassing, there were people that were defecating in people's yards, there were people that were pulling up in their cars on private property to sleep. I mean, these were not good things. But the media coverage about it was all like kumbaya, everybody hug a tree, and we're just trying to save the environment. These people were basically eco-terrorists because they were basically forcing their will on people. And I even heard some stuff from actual Native Americans from the area that were like, I don't even want these people here. They keep forcing themselves onto my property. They keep browbeating me to get me to let them use my bathrooms, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And he's like, I don't even know why they're here. I don't understand how it is that with the way things actually are and the way that we can show that things truly are, how it is that we keep losing the argument about we're the ones that don't care about the environment when we're the ones that actually put it into practice. We don't make the government do it for us. We do it.
That's absolutely correct. And to I mean, put it another way, you know, they complain about, you know, here in North Carolina, I buy a fishing license every year, and most of my friends buy hunting licenses. What they don't understand, and people like on the left, like PETA and the anti-gun people and everything else, all of that money goes to conservation. It actually, the hunters and the fishermen and everybody else, it's all that money they spend goes to conservation. I lived in Maryland. What actually cleaned up the Chesapeake Bay was the hike and fishing licenses. Because the fishermen wanted the bay cleaned up. They had no problem. Tax us more. We want the bay cleaned up. We want to be able to go out there and catch fish and catch crab that our families can actually eat. That's what they don't understand. You know, you've got the, you know, don't kill animals. Well, you know what? If you don't have deer hunts, it's worse for the deer. And everybody that buys a license to hunt deer is actually contributing to the environment and the ecology of that state, because that money is going to help preserve it. That's what they don't get. They just don't get it. They don't understand that people on the right love this country. They think that all we want to do is build huge factories that spew pollutants and destroy everything. That's not what we want. It's not. And until they realize that it's not what we want, we're just going to keep having this fight.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't think it would matter to them even if we could prove to them that we cared about the environment, because it's not. This is the problem. It's not about truth anymore. It's not. It's about narrative. This is about how can we spend it to make sure that we get back into power? How can we spend it to make sure we keep power? And unfortunately, both sides are getting to the point where they're just as guilty. I actually had this conversation with a listener off air the other night, because one of the points that keeps being brought up to me is, when the left has somebody that does something that they shouldn't do, they rally behind them, they stand behind them. I mean, look at everything that Hillary went through, and yet somehow she still became their nominee for president, even though she, was using a server which may or may not have gotten hundreds of thousands of emails leaked over to people that shouldn't have had access to it, had lied about Benghazi, possibly was instrumental in setting up the whole thing with Benghazi, considering apparently it was her idea that the ambassador even go over there in the first place, if you listen to certain sources. And again, this is just me talking off the cuff for the moment, so no fake news, yelling, screaming, whatever. But my point here is, it just doesn't make any sense to me that that the left does all of these things, and yet they rally behind people, and then the right, as soon as we know something's going on, we're like, hey, he lied, so this needs to stop, because why did he lie? And yet Flynn is still crucified, even though, I mean, yes, granted, he didn't tell the truth, but he still was allowed to resign. He's not still the national security advisor. He's not soon to be running for president at this point, like Miss Clinton, who apparently is going to be doing it again. But the thing that is driving me crazy is now there are just as many people on the right that are saying, well, we need to be more like the left. We need to rally behind our people. We need to stand behind them no matter what. No, we don't. And let me tell you why we don't. And this is something that I have taught to my children, that I have, now that my grandchildren are starting to get a little older, I hope to teach it to them as well. But let me ask you a question. If you are in, whether it is a physical conflict or an ideological conflict with someone, if in order to beat them, you have to become just like them, who's actually won by the end of this conflict? You or them?
They have.
Exactly. But nobody wants to talk about that anymore. Because it's all about the victory, Rick. No, it's not. And that's why it was important that Flynn resigned. Because at the end of the day, no matter what else goes on, we can look at that and say, look, your president and our president at that time, the guy that you said was the best president ever, is on video telling the Russians that he was going to have more flexibility after his next election, and then watched as they rolled through Crimea, did absolutely nothing. But we found out that this guy, who wasn't even a part of the cabinet yet, may have had a conversation with an ambassador, and he was forced to resign. And you want to throw mud in our direction? Just get out.
Absolutely. And it's, like I said, what I said earlier today. I mean, and I said it, I keep saying it. I mean, if you break the law, you break the law. The end. And it's, for certain people, it's only if you break the law is it a problem, not if we break the law. And we need to keep our standards, which is basically exactly what you're saying. We need to keep our standards. If we don't keep our standards, then everything is pointless. It's just all pointless. And everything needs to move in a different direction, because standards are standards. As far as I'm concerned, Hillary should be in prison. She should be. I mean, if you're going to, just for the fact, even if you take it down to the basic, simple fact that she was more than likely, according to the FBI, responsible for our information, we live in this country, our information getting leaked. There are plenty of people in prison for doing much less than that. Much less than what she did as far as the amount of information. Plenty of people in prison right now. I know people in the military and how seriously they take the information that they see that comes across their computers that they move. I know how seriously they take the security with that information. And she just like, just put the server in my house and I lost a BlackBerry. This is national security. National security. And she took it like it was nothing. There are people that know that if they have an issue with the information that they are moving, that they could face prison time, and they worry about it. And she's just like, I lost another BlackBerry. Get me one, please.
Make sure
it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It's not supposed to work that way.
Make sure this one's the one with the old lady buttons. All right, so anyway, we've got to take another break. We've hit the top of the hour, or, well, for broadcast purposes, it's actually about 20 minutes past. But we got to take a break. We'll be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Folks, well, welcome back to the slightly abbreviated due to technical issues version of the Robinson and Wright Show for February 17th, 2017. We are officially actually less than a week to CPAC. KLRN Radio will be there live on Radio Row, so make sure you go check us out there. We'll have different folks kind of come in at different times, but we will be there for the entirety, so if you've ever wanted to meet any of us in person, make sure you stop by. Also, the crew from Lanterns will be there. If you the Michael Loftus podcast, which is also carried on KLRN, those folks will be at CPAC. So, if you've ever wanted to meet any of us, now's your time. I'm sure none of you want to meet me, so just go to the cool people. But anyway, we're back, we're live, and I still have Dan with me, who is still hanging in and being a trooper, even though he's like dying from Ebola.
Yes, I am Ebola ridden.
I'm just glad. I'm just glad I'm not the one that's got Ebola anymore.
Yes, you handed it off to me electronically. I think. I'm really starting to wonder if this stuff is like if viruses are figuring out a way to adapt to be carried electronically or something, because it does seem weird because. It's like you'll be talking to a specific group of people online, and all of a sudden one of you will get sick, and then the next thing you know, another of you is sick, and another of you is sick, and it's like it will make the rounds through the entire circle of people that you talk with, even though you are separated by, in some cases, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. It's just kind of weird. I'm putting on my tinfoil hat and saying that we need to investigate Russia.
Everybody blames Russia. Speaking of the blaming Russia thing, because you remember when everybody was like freaking out because Russia may or may not have influenced our election, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Guess what? WikiLeaks finally let out of the bag the other day.
Ooh, I haven't been paying attention to WikiLeaks because I kind of ditched that and didn't even want to look at it anymore.
Yeah, I don't really pay that much attention to it until something comes across my feed because I don't really enjoy the leaks no matter where they're coming from. But at the same time, this one was kind of ironic because, President Obama during the last several months of his term was complaining because they started seeing supposed evidence that the Russians may have been influencing American elections. Bear in mind, this is the same guy that said that American elections couldn't be influenced, and so did Hillary Clinton. But guess what? Guess who was all up in France's last election? And it wasn't Russia.
Obama?
Exactly. The Obama administration actually had invested hundreds of hours of human, which is basically a shortened word for human intelligence agents, and funding to try to influence France's last election.
And they did the same thing in Israel.
Exactly. So, I mean, and here's the thing. You can say what you want, but you and I both know that for pretty much as long as we have been a country, we have been trying to find ways to exert our will in other places, whether it's by offering them goods and services in exchange for listening to what we have to say, if it's sending people over to try to bend an ear. Every country on earth does these things. So why is it okay when we do it, and why is it bad when Russia does it?
Exactly. I mean, we should expect it. We should absolutely expect it.
We've only been up in Russia's
I bet Russia has had some kind of influence in one way or another on every election in this country since 1940.
I bet you they have too. So here's the thing. why are we complaining about it? And why are we, if it's really that big of a deal, why are we not doing something to guard against it?
Because according to Obama and Hillary, our elections are secure. Oh, wait, no, now they aren't.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. Our elections are secure if they go your way. They're not secure if they don't go your way. That's the problem with both sides. What we need in this country is, okay, we have an issue and we need to figure it out. And both sides need to come together to figure it out. That's what we have. I mean, to be honest with you, Trump came out and said, yeah, we may have election problems. After he won the election, he came out and said, we may have election problems. We need to get this straightened out. He basically came out and said it against himself. Hey, good for him if he's going to say that. I mean, maybe it's about time somebody said that. Because Obama I never heard him say anything about a problem with Russia in our elections until Trump won. It's a double standard, but it's a double standard on both sides. But I will give Trump some credit. He basically said, yes, we need to look into election reform. After he won, and he's saying it, and he'll be looking at after 4 years of going for re-election, he's still saying we need to look into election problems. Hey, great. Good for you. Good for you. I mean, he's basically admitting that there are problems. And there always will be problems. And I don't care what they do. There are plenty of countries out there that want to influence what happens in this country. That will never end. And there are plenty of countries out there that we will want to influence what happens in those countries. And that will never end. It's never going to end. There's nothing we can do about it.
Oh, I don't know. It's just the double standards, the hypocrisy everywhere. I'm just fed up. I really am. The one thing that I can honestly say, and I know I've mentioned this before on other shows, the one thing that I'm honestly saying that I am pleasantly surprised at with the outcome of this election and the fact that everybody's kind of scratching their heads going, how did we get here and what do we do to fix it from this point forward? There are a lot of people that used to be hanging out kind of a lot closer to the outside edges of the left and the right, but weren't all the way over there, that have suddenly started running, screaming towards the center, going, what the did we do and how do we fix it?
You're absolutely right. And I made this point on Wednesday night on my other show with Susan. And I actually have more moderate liberal friends right now than I have probably ever had in my entire life. Because you've got this alt-right, and I won't call it alt-left because that's just a Hannity term. But you've got this extreme left, and you've got this extreme right. You've got everybody else in the middle going, what's going on? You know? I mean, I have friends that are Democrats that they will sit there and they will bash Trump. That's fine. Bash Trump. But at the same time, they'll look at other people way over on the left and go, what are you doing? Yes, you can be not happy with something he said, but what are you doing? You're talking about impeachment? You're talking about, he's a traitor? He's not a traitor. I mean, there's to point to the term of your show, there's some finding of common ground there right now. It actually, I think it's kind of making that happen. I've got, on social media, I've been in groups now with Democrats that are kind of feeling the same way you and I do. They're kind of like, what is going on? They're actually constitutionalists. They maybe read some of the Constitution different than you and I do, but for the most part, they're constitutionalists. Believe it or not, there are actually Democrats that are pro Second Amendment, stuff like that. But they look at the extreme on their side the way we look at the extreme on our side, and they're like, what are you doing? This is dumb. And I see that happening. You're exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, kind of in the same vein of things that people are finally starting to understand, because we have crazy Uncle Speedo now telling everybody that we should have free college and we should have free this and we should have free that. We need to pay attention to the other countries that have already tried these things and see what they're doing, because there's been an interesting thing happening in Great Britain, because, they have had free college now for quite some time. But now that it's been free, for as long as it's been free, people are just going for the sake of going. So the country is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to put these people through school, and they come out and they have absolutely nothing to show for it because they didn't really go after anything worthwhile while they were in there. Other countries like Denmark, I've seen a meme that's been going around about Denmark, and I'm sure you've probably seen it too, and it's like, this is Denmark. Denmark has free healthcare and free college. Denmark's minimum wage is $25 an hour, and people work 35 hours a week. Denmark is the happiest country in the world. Be like Denmark, except the problem with memes is the facts are all wrong. Because yes, Denmark has free college, but they also have some of the highest, if not the highest, taxes in the world. On top of having extremely high income taxes, they also have a 25% sales tax. So all the free stuff they're talking about, it's not actually free. People actually work that aren't in college to pay for you to be able to go to college. Their tax rate for the top earners is 56%. Bear in mind, that's on top of a 25% sales tax. 56% income tax plus 25% sales tax, if you are a top income earner in Denmark, means that you are paying 81% in taxes. That leaves you 19% of your income to live on. Denmark does not sound like a very happy place to me.
No, it doesn't. And you mentioned the free college, and everybody says, okay, well, good, I want to go get my degree. So they get their degree in some kind of liberal arts that does nothing for them. So now they have a college degree and they are making tea or fish and chips for somebody. What exactly does that do to help the economy? Everybody has a degree. Everybody has a degree.
It reminds me of something that I remember my grandfather saying to me once back when I was younger, and it was one of the times that we were talking about minimum wage, and I was young once. I was one of these people that was kind of like, well, why couldn't we pay people more money? And it was one of those things where he finally said to me in a way that I would understand it. He's like, well, let me put it to you like this. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we found a way to make everybody in the country a millionaire. So technically they wouldn't have anything to worry about ever again. What would actually happen? I'm like 12 years old, so I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, the price for everything would skyrocket and your money would be worthless.
Exactly.
Because
very smart man.
If $1 million becomes the new mean income for the country, then the price of everything is going to go through the roof, and suddenly $1 million would be like having $20 in your wallet.
Yeah, and I got into this argument with somebody the other day about the minimum wage. And they said that somebody, well, actually, it wasn't even about minimum wage. It was about the quote-unquote disparity between women and men. And I said, okay, I've been in the business I'm in, the industry I'm in, for 25 years. So you think that somebody that comes in fresh out of school should make what I make? And you know what they said to me? They said, if she has the same knowledge as you, yes. So somebody that's 22 years coming out of college should make what I make if they quote unquote have the same ability and knowledge as me. Now, you know, like I know, that most of your learning is not done in college. It's done by doing it in the field, or doing it behind the desk, or doing it behind the computer. Somebody straight out of college does not have the knowledge I have. The end. They just don't. But they're trying to tell me that a woman straight out of college doing what I do, if they have the quote unquote same, I don't even know what she was trying to say, same knowledge I do, should make the same amount of money that I do. How does that make any sense? So I've been doing this for 25 years, and somebody that's right out of college should make exactly what I make because they're quote unquote doing the same job. That's basically what she said. She's doing the same job as you. She should make as much as you. That's the mindset. I've worked really hard and learned a lot and gone through a lot of, besides school, gone through a lot of classes and training and done everything I can to push myself forward. But if the job title is the same 25 years behind me, they should make as much as I do. That's the mindset right now. Because they're a woman, or they're a minority, or they're just, they got their college degree, they should make what you make. That's the mindset. They're doing the same job as you. That's the mindset. It's ridiculous. They're apparently now, you don't have to earn anything. It should just be handed to you. I originally, when I went to school, I wanted to be an architect. Do you know what a starting architect made when I would have? I ditched it because I didn't. I won't even say why I ditched it. But a starting architect out of school when I was at that age came on as an apprentice making $20,000 a year after going through a $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 education.
Woohoo!
And you know what? They all, architects then, they all grasped it. Okay, cool. I got these student loans. I'm making $20K a year. I'll have to figure it out. Now it's, I got out of school. I paid all this money for college. You need to pay me $100,000 a year because I finished school and I need to live like a king. Well, it doesn't work that way. You finish school, you do not live like a king. You finish school, you still have to work to earn your way. That's the way it works. I have a daughter that just finished nursing school. She's an RN now. She's making good money, but yes, she has student loans. And she has expenses that she has to pay out. She understands that. She knows how it works. She knows that soon, and I say soon, within years, she will be making a great living. But she understands that it doesn't just get handed right to her. Training starts when you finish school. It's not the end of your training. You don't go right in and all of a sudden you know everything. You go into your industry and now it's time to learn your industry. You've learned what you needed to learn to go into your industry and learn your industry. Things don't just fall right in place and you make $100K a year. It doesn't work that way. And the problem with the minimum wage and raising it to $15 an hour is now you have all of these med techs that are in nursing school. Now, these are people that know how to give shots and back up nurses and help. Most people don't even realize these people aren't nurses. They aren't nurses. They're medical technicians. If you go into an ER, you'll say, "Oh, my nurse." That's not your nurse. They make like $15, $16 an hour. So if you take the McDonald's burger flipper and you put them up to $15 an hour, what do you put the med tech up to? Now you got to take the med tech and you got to put them up to $22 an hour. Now you got to take the right out of school RN and put them up to $35 an hour. Now you got to take the master's nurse and put her up to $52 an hour. Now what's happened to healthcare? People don't think in those terms. We got to raise the minimum wage. You raise the minimum wage, you raise everybody's wages. And what happens to the employers and everybody else? They have to raise the prices. Nothing changes. Nothing changes at all. You've raised the minimum wage, and the people that were making $8 an hour that are now making $15 an hour are in the...
Uh-oh, I think Dan might be cutting out again. Well, he hasn't dropped yet, so maybe he'll be back in a second. Dan, I don't know if you can hear me, but at this point, we're not able to hear you. So while we wait to see if Skype's going to hang up on you again, let's move on to another topic because we are rounding the corner towards the end of the abbreviated version of the show. So for those of you that have been, and there he goes, so we'll see if we can get him back in a minute. So for those of you that have been in these arguments before in regards to Obamacare, one of the things that happens quite often is people mention Canada's healthcare system and how, well, if Canada has this type of medical care, why can't we? And let's get Dan back on the line. Welcome back, Skype.
And I'm back.
Okay.
But like I said, when I was in high school, the minimum wage was $3.35 an hour, and I enjoyed it. You know why I enjoyed it? Because I had money in my pocket, and I was 16, 17 years old, and that's what the minimum wage is for. For kids in high school, kids in college that are going to school, the minimum wage is not meant for people to support families. And this whole $15 minimum wage is going to ruin the economy.
Well, I mean,
and people just
honestly, it's only a matter of time before before this all changes anyway. Because with the amount of technology they're putting into cars that now have the ability to park themselves, brake for themselves, we now have cars that are able to navigate racetracks and other places using GPS location. our economy is going to wind up changing anyway. We're going to get to the point where we're going to put a lot of people out of work before we realize what we've done. But we are just about out of time, so I wanted to make sure that I got to one more story that I'd actually started while we were trying to see if Skype was ever going to not hate you. One of the things that gets brought up quite often with the whole Obamacare argument is Canada. That's something that gets thrown up in my face pretty much every time I start trying to talk to somebody about how atrocious the Affordable Care Act actually is. And one of the arguments that they made from the beginning is, well, Canada has health care that's for their people. Why can't we? Well, the problem is that there are actually stories that are starting to come out about Canada's healthcare system, and they actually have some of the longest wait times in the world for medical care. It looks as though Canadians have some of the best healthcare in the world, provided they live long enough to actually see a doctor. A new survey of 11 developed countries shows that Canada was in last place for wait times, tied with Norway, and also scored quite poorly on the availability of doctors during nights and weekends. This means that Canadians have the highest rate of emergency room usage out of the 11 countries surveyed. As it turns out, these numbers are actually an improvement since the last time the survey was conducted, which was 2013. The survey found that only 43% of Canadians were able to secure same-day or even next-day appointments with their primary care physicians, a tie for last place. Still, again, that figure was an improvement over the last time the Commonwealth Fund asked the question in 2013, when only 38% of Canadian patients said they could see the doctor right away. So,
that's a few years ago, and I really wish I could go back and find the story. There was a story a few years ago about the amount of Canadian cancer patients that were migrating to Florida so that they could get their cancer treatments because they couldn't get them in Canada.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. All of these countries that have the socialized medicine, a lot of them used to come here. When they had really bad, terrible things that were going on, they would come here for treatments because in their home countries, they were waiting weeks, if not months, for treatment.
Well, yeah. I mean, these Canadians, if they waited to get their cancer treatments in Canada, they'd be dead. So they came to the United States. I'm not saying that they were glomming off the United States. They weren't. They were coming down here and paying for their treatment, but they couldn't get their treatment in Canada in a timely fashion to save their lives. So they came to the United States to do it. But we need socialized medicine here. I think there's a lot of Canadians that may be against the socialized medicine idea in the United States.
Well, my whole take with the whole whether we should have socialized medicine in the United States, look, if you think that you want a country that's going to hand you everything, do me a favor. We were just talking about a country that does that. Maybe you should go find that country. We were just talking about who was it again? It was Denmark. If you really think that free college and awesome minimum wage and free healthcare is the best thing for you, then go to Denmark and pay 56% taxes, even if you're the lowest taxed person in their economy, because their lowest tax rate's like 25% or 27%, and you have like a 25% sales tax. So yeah, let's put this in perspective. So yeah, you're making $25 an hour, but their lowest tax rate is 27% on top of a 25% sales tax. That means over half of every hour that you work of every single day is going to pay those taxes. So yeah, you're working a 35-hour work week, but 17 and a half hours of that, actually, since it's over 50%, it would be closer to about maybe 19.5% of that is going to go, 19 and a half hours is going to go to paying your tax bill.
That's right. And you go to buy something that costs you $20, 25 $5 to buy something that costs $20. I'm not going to say that it's not approaching it here in some places, but it's
interesting to me how different parts of the country do their taxes differently, because I was actually a little shocked the last time I was in the D.C. area and went to go buy breakfast, and all of a sudden there was like all these little taxes and fees all over the place, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And JD was like, that's how they do things out here, brother. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I just paid for like an $8 omelet, which would have been like $4 where I'm at. I paid $12 by the time it was all said and done. I'm like,
in Falls Church, Virginia, they have what's called a snack tax. And if it's anything fast food, you pay the state sales tax, and then you pay a snack tax.
Nice.
It's approaching Denmark.
Maybe they should just change it to the Mac Attack tax. I'm feeling for a Big Mac, so I'm going to pay that extra money. I don't care. Speaking of which, and then we're about out of time. Something that I have noticed going on with the McDonald's lately is they have these commercials now with like this Mac Jr. thing, and then this regular Big Mac, and then they have what's called the Grand Mac.
The Grand Mac.
Is it? Have you tried that yet?
No, I have not, and I don't really eat fast food. I mean, it sounds very inviting to me since I do love a Big Mac. But, I mean, when I was a kid and worked at McDonald's, we did better than a Grand Mac. We did the half-pound Mac. You know, we'd make a Big Mac with 2 quarter-pounders. So,
So that was honestly one of the best perks about working at McDonald's and they actually changed that for a while because they figured out what we were doing. But when we used to be able to go back there and actually make our own food for our breaks, and that was when I was actually an assistant manager at a McDonald's chain. It was back when they were doing like the Arch Deluxe sandwiches and all those things. So I would like make this triple burger thing, and I think I was actually one of the people that got us in trouble in the store because they were like, what did you just make for lunch? I'm gonna have to charge you for that. And then they started putting out all these rules, and I'm like, and then for a while we actually had to go through the counter and order like normal people, and then it went back to normal again. But my favorite thing to do was the breakfast, because I would like do like their big deluxe breakfast, but I would do it with the round eggs instead, because the round eggs are still real. They don't come out of the carton and they're not pre-mixed. So yeah. But anyway.
But now I'll show my age. They were all real eggs when I was there. Yeah, but I will actually basically throw myself under the bus right now. When I worked at McDonald's when I was a kid, every year on the 4th of July, we had a little group. We would distract a manager, and we would get a case of quarter pounders and a rack of buns out of the store, and we would have a cookout. And I'm going to tell you right now that McDonald's burgers cooked on a grill instead of the griddle are fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so one last parting shot, and then we're about out of time. They actually, somehow, some way, somebody got a hold of Senator Warren's net worth. Take a guess as to how much she's worth.
Wish I had seen this first because I couldn't take a guess, but I'm guessing it's a lot.
Somehow, during her tenure as a congresswoman, she has racked up a $15 million war chest.
Oof. She's not an elitist or anything, is she?
No, not at all. Never mind the fact that she actually, committed fraud to get a job with a university. See, this
wait, fraud?
But this is exactly what I'm talking about, though. She is a sitting senator who we know committed fraud. We know she did it, and she's still a sitting senator as a Democrat.
But it's okay because she's a Democrat.
But as someone who wasn't even actually a cabinet official yet, as a private citizen, has a conversation with a Russian ambassador, and somehow it's the end of the world. I don't get it. But anyway, we are officially out of time. So while I usually say, why don't you remind folks where they can hang out with you, but they can't.
Hey, well, you can hang out with me on Wednesdays on Constitution and Culture with Susan Swift. She's at Real Susan Swift on Twitter and just about everywhere else.
And you used to be able to hang out with him on Twitter till he told Twitter to F off and die. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, we are officially out of time, folks. We're going to go ahead and cut this one at just a little over 90 minutes because with all the technical issues, we still wanted to end at the usual time because Dan's not feeling well and I have to be up in 5 hours to start this mess all over again. So anyway, this is Robinson and Wright. We will be live with you again Friday night. I will be back with you tomorrow morning for the weekend edition of America Off the Rails, and then we will be back again starting Monday night. You guys take care. God bless. For those of you that actually have Monday off, enjoy it. Spend some time with your family. Try to unplug once in a while. That's one thing that I've been trying to make myself do at least one day out of the week, is just completely get away from anything that has anything to do with news media or social media, because I've noticed that I am in a much better mood if I spend at least one day away from all of it doing something that I enjoy. Sadly for me, that's Fallout 4, and I have been playing that game intensely, usually on Saturdays, for enough hours that my wife actually starts looking at me like I'm crazy, because after 3 hours in, she's like, "Are you ever turning this game off?" And I'm like, "Leave me alone, woman, I only get to do this one day a week." And then I turn it off anyway. But anyway, we are officially out of time. Have a great night. Take care. We'll see you when we see you.